Hi, I'm Bran, and I love Freevee / Nicely Christmas movies.
I'm Dan, and what is a freebie?
I'm Alonso, and I think I'd like to see what the naughtily Christmas movies are like. And this is the
Deck the Hallmark podcast.
Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast. Brandon and friends host this podcast. We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Guys, this is getting out of hand. It's been 10 days since the marathon. Why are we still here? It's also weird because we've recorded plenty of things back in the studio. Why do we keep coming back here?
Thursday and Friday's episode were both back in the studio. And so
they treat you right here at the Marriott.
It's really Alonso. I didn't want to say it, but since you said that, Alonso was the one that was like, I'm coming back to Greenville, but only if we can record at the Courtyard Marriott.
Yes. It was in
he
my
loves
rider.
it here.
It's in his rider.
He loves it here.
Smart Water Courtyard Marriott.
I had some drinks coupons that I hadn't used yet, and I was like, Marriott, let's do it.
That's right. And so we set it all back up.
This is exciting because tomorrow's Halloween. Alonso, what are you going as this year?
I'm still trying to figure out which of the Taylor Swift eras I was supposed to dress as when I went to the movie. So I have no costume.
When was the last time you dressed up for Halloween?
A few, that's the thing about after the lockdown, everything was last week or 10 years ago.
Right.
I want to say like 2016.
Okay.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah, no. It was,
Went to some sort of party.
We had a friend had a party. We had to go with something. Dave had a great costume. He went as Charlie Brown in It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown.
That's
so
fantastic.
we took a sheet and covered it with black circles. And it was great. And nobody got it, unfortunately, because these were dumb people at this party.
I love that Charlie Brown,
Dumb
by the
People
way.
Party classic.
It's a great Charlie Brown.
I have a very lazy thing I have to do if I have to do a costume, which is I wore like a flannel plaid shirt tucked in. I pinned a picture of Jar Jar Binks to me, and I went as sexy George Lucas.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's great. It's lazy, but it works, man.
It worked.
That is nice.
People got that more than the Charlie Brown outfit, and I made much less effort.
Your oldest son is doing us all a solid, so I don't have to dress up.
He's doing us a solid, and I've tried to talk him out of it. Now, there's still plenty of time. Last year, he talked about how he was going to be one thing every day in October, and then the day came, and he said he called an audible. And he said, I'm just going to go to my costume box and just pull something out.
Kids don't get to do that. My kids, the audibles are gone after like 10 days to Halloween. My kids are going as Michelangelo and Leonardo of the Ninja Turtles. And his youngest is going as Raphael. And we were like, if Grizzly's Donatello, then they can all forego together. And Grizz is like, no, I'm Batman. And then apparently, according to my wife, who talked to your wife, Grizz has now decided to go as Donatello.
As of right now, that is the plan.
Of right
So
now.
we're going to get Dan a yellow jumpsuit, and he can go as April O'Neil.
Yeah, and I'll be. I mean, I already kind of look like a rat, so just kind of
shred.
Yeah. I'm here to shred her. But we're gonna go trick or treating together. It's gonna be a lot of fun. You and I, we're actually leaving our kids at home. We're just gonna go ourselves.
Yes,
and it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Full-size candy bars, yeah.
Now this is exciting because last year there was a house that had a chute, and they shot candy through this thing, and it was very exciting. I don't know if it's going to be there this year.
Our neighborhood over the last 10 years they've gone from you don't trick or treat here to a trick or treaters haven.
There was one house that
I don't know about that. Okay. I don't know if they're that
not yet
friendly.
No. I mean, I'm sure there's a couple of houses.
I mean, we would give out full-size candy bars when we moved in 10 years ago before we had kids, and two groups of trick-or-treaters would come by, and they would see, and they would just make a second lap because it's like, what are we going to do with all these candy bars?
Yeah.
Just give them away.
Yeah. I'm excited to eat my kids' candy. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Classic.
Let's talk about the Christmas Venue, the Christmas movie that we could find that is out.
That's right.
Here we are. It landed on Freevee. It was made by Nicely. We've done a handful of Nicely movies.
What were they?
I don't remember.
Well, one of them was the one y'all didn't get that was actually kind of good, I thought.
Oh, that's
Saving
right.
Christmas Spirit.
The Ireland
Oh,
movie.
yeah, with Ashley Newbro.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like that might happen today. The Christmas venue, October 1st, 2023, and it went a little something like this. Steven is drinking hard to help him gain the courage to break up with his girlfriend, Kate, right before the food comes, which is a bold move. Would not recommend, because then it's like, what do I do? And they handle it in an interesting way where he says, I'll collect my food at the front, which good for him. Kate feels like a dummy because she thought that he was going to propose, but it's confusing because he's Irish, and so you never quite know what direction he's going to go. Scottish, sure. So she decides that she's going to go to her dad's B&B for the holidays to help clear her head. She shows up, and it's empty. No one is there, including her dad. They've all been left behind. TakeTheTape.com. Kate decides to spend an insane amount of time trying to fix a light on a porch. It's a very long time, and she does not fix it. She's about to fall off of a stool, but a fella named Drew catches her, so they're going to fall in love. They actually went to high school together, so they spend some time catching up over hot cocoa, as one does. She tries to get him to tell her why no one is there at the B&B. There's no Christmas decorations. Just then, her dad shows up and fills her in. He is going to sell the place. She takes this info in and says, yeah, I'm still going to decorate for Christmas because duh. She comes up with an idea to save the inn. Use the B&B as a wedding venue and then use the money from said weddings to fix the place up, and then we got a thriving establishment again. Drew agrees to fix all the necessary things to get through an event. Drew and Kate could not be more different, but in a good way. They're kind of enjoying each other's company. The happy couple that is going to potentially have their wedding here shows up, and just before they pull in, she gets a call from her friend who is sending these people to her establishment and says, hey, heads up, the couple's mom doesn't trust anyone who's not married. They've been to a handful of other establishments. None of them run by married couples, and that's the final straw. I know. I don't trust them.
Producer Aaron, don't trust her.
I don't trust her. She gets it, though.
You've only trusted me since 2015.
That's right. Yeah, before then, I don't know.
The mom loves the house, them, and especially Kate's dad. Wink, wink. The day is a huge success, and Kate and Drew end the day out by the fire, almost kissing. She hears from her ex-boyfriend that he's been thinking and wants to talk, and he's going to come to the B&B. This is bad news because apparently the wedding family's just going to live there now. They've moved in, and so they kind of have to keep this lie going. And so he shows up and is like, this is my old friend, Steven. Steven somehow, even though is my old friend, doesn't know what my husband looks like. Don't worry about it. Later, Steven shoots his shot and no such luck. Kate had a 10-hour long game night to get to where you try to guess the names on the head. They win. They almost celebrate, her and Drew win. They almost celebrate with a kiss, but she gets a call. It's a Christmas Eve job offer. We love those. She ends up reluctantly saying yes, and she goes in to tell Steve the good news because, she sees him. He takes this as an invitation to try to kiss her. She pulls back, but not before the bride-to-be sees and is like, WTF, what's going on here? I thought you were married to Drew. Drew then is like, this is an awkward situation, so I'm going to do that. You got your job offer. You got your hunky Scottish fella. I'm just going to get out of here. So Kate finally tells the truth to the family that she's been lying this whole time. She goes and she talks to the bride-to-be and basically is just like, but I had a good reason to lie. I hope you understand. The next day, she wakes up. Well, that night, she has some inspiration, so she decides she's going to paint for the first time in a long time, which is very exciting for her. And she tells the guy, the Scottish fellow, that this isn't going to happen. And so she wakes up the next day, and the family is like, hey, we have something to throw at you. What if instead of big wedding later, we have small wedding now on this very day, the Lord's Day? And she's like, I guess we can make that work. And the groom is like, can I throw something at you? Instead of the full payment, what if it's just a deposit? Well, that's good because the deposit was the amount needed to fix everything up. Right. So she's pumped. Small wedding, big monies, big happies. And so they're like, who are we going to have to do this with? The Scottish guy is like there. So she decides she needs to go find Drew and make things right. So she finds him outside walking his dog, they share their feelings with one another and they kiss. And then I think they head back to go to the wedding together. And that, my friends, was the Christmas Venue.
We did it.
We did it. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to break this movie down here on Deck the Hallmark.
Deck the Hallmark. I missed it.
It's the delay. Welcome back, everybody. You're talking to us. We're talking to you. We're having a good time. Hopefully, you're watching us on Philo. If you're not, go ahead and head on over there, philo.tv/DTH.
Next level.
It looks great. Yes. We are somehow still at the Courtyard Marriott. We've moved in. It is what it is. Let's break this movie down, the Christmas Venue. We're going to start with the hot take. It is where we share exactly how we felt about this movie, and we do not hold back. And I'll start with you, Alonso. Alonso, Freevee to you. What did you think? What did you think of this movie?
Oh, oucha magoucha. I was just calling this movie 1-star, 5-star Christmas.
Okay.
Because we had 5-star Christmas a couple years ago from Hallmark, which is the B&B and the mistaken identity and the gotta lie to the guest thing.
And it's actually funny.
Funny, and there's a reason for why they're doing stuff. Like the premise of the mom doesn't trust married people
All-timer.
Doesn't trust single people.
Doesn't trust single people. One of the worst plot anything I've ever heard in my life.
But in her defense, have you met a single person?
They're the worst.
They're the worst.
The worst.
This was just cheap and bland and indifferently acted and all around. It can only go up from here. Even when we do up
that
TV
is one way to. That's one way to look at this. Is that it can only go up from here.
Okay,
but I don't think our Christmas mural has aired yet. You don't have to cover that one on Deck the Hallmark. I do.
So going into this movie, hold on, shut it down.
This movie, Brian, it's too early. It's too early for this nonsense. You're gonna do it. It's so bad. It's good. I love it. What do you want from me? Look, come on.
So right out of the gate,
this is so stupid.
Right out of the gate, you are right out of the gate. You know
so
that this movie is not at the level that we are accustomed to. The Hallmark Christmas movies, they are better. So you have a choice. You have a choice to make. Am I going to be a little sourdough, or am I going to give myself over to the magic of Christmas? And I decided I'm going to give
the fall on this one. I'm not a bad person for not liking this.
I'm not saying that.
That's exactly what you just
said.
I'm calling you a sourdough, not a bad person. I like this movie. I thought it was a good time overall. Dan?
Brand.
Is this to take the heat off of liking the first Hallmark movie? Is that what we're doing here? I don't understand.
You know what? I will say this. It's almost like you watched this before you got to watch the first Countdown to Christmas movie.
And you were so starved for one.
Yeah. Every time the first new movie of the season hits, you give an absurdist take and make us sound like we're crazy for thinking otherwise.
I don't think, guys,
you have a problem.
Let me put it on the record. I don't think you guys are crazy for thinking this is a bad movie.
You think we're sourdoughs.
I think you're sourdoughs.
You think we're, this is
the San Francisco treat.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
God, you're insufferable.
Yeah, I get it. Try living with me. It's tough. Every day is an uphill battle. I like this one.
It works for me to have Bran in my life so that at certain moments I can be like, you think I'm bad.
That's right. You can look at Dave and go, well, Bran.
You could be.
That's right.
Let me put on the Christmas Venue. And Bran liked it.
I suggest.
You liked it. Sorry.
This movie, I don't know if I can be friends with you anymore. This movie is so bad. Movies are subjective. This is not subjective. This movie is awful. And we're going to have to break this movie down into individual wait whats, which in and of itself is laughable because the conceit of this movie that they need $25,000 and their big idea is to show a family that or a couple that wants to get married this place and hope that they give them a deposit. And that takes 3 days of staying there on Christmas is like even for me, who's 700 of these deep, like that doesn't forget the fact that she hates single people. That's weird. The premise of this film is we're hoping they write us a $25,000 check. And what's standing in between us and the check is this couple wants to spend Christmas in this abandoned B&B to determine if it's wedding worthy for 3 days while you cook for them.
This movie is a collection of wait whats held together by a thin membrane.
That's right. Yes. The wait what it's like, a Jackie Chan movie where the stunts are the plot. Like the wait whats are the plot. We work around the wait whats. We build those in first and we work around them. I couldn't believe what I was watching. It's a stretch even by the standard that has been set of the Christmas TV movie that this movie exists. It's brutal. It's a brutal watch. And what a way to start the season. And that's what made checking it twice with Kevin McGarry seem bearable because we watched this first. This
is the opposite of an amuse-bouche.
Yeah, the opposite. Yeah. Aperitifs.
Aperitif.
Accompaniment. You can have your Christmas venue au poivre.
Thank you, Regular.
Pepper.
Rig, I didn't know you made it down to the
I
Courtyard
did.
Marriott.
I heard Courtyard and I was all in.
Wow.
Yeah, I do a lot of gambling at the Courtyard.
We don't have
You
those.
don't know about it. There's a secret gambling spot.
Oh, really?
You gotta know where to go and who to talk to. And I do.
You're talking about the downtown Courtyard Marriott that's letting us
on
do
Main
this here?
Street in Greenville.
Wow.
Yeah.
What room?
My pants.
Okay. Ew. Get out of here with that. It's time for all the feels. This is where we talk about.
My pants over the years.
All right. It's time for all the feels. This is where we're talking about what gave us those feels. Alonso.
There's an adorable dog in this movie.
Such an adorable dog.
Man.
I love the dog.
Is it Bob?
Bob the dog.
Bob the dog.
I kept listening, going, "Is the dog named Bob?" And that way, what didn't even make my list?
Yeah.
Bob the dog. There's a covered bridge at the end.
Yes, there is a cover bridge.
That's it. That's all I got.
So I want to talk
Thank
about.
you, sexy George Lucas. Back to brand.
Anytime.
Honestly, I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, you are. It's true. I want to talk about the covered bridge because something happened towards the end of this movie that I didn't expect to work for me, but it did. I call it, tis the season, but early on in this movie, they're at the table and they're, the lady who hates single people is like, how'd you guys meet? And she says, he gives this whole elaborate story that ends up, it's a made up story, but she saw me on the bridge and she came and I didn't expect her to know that it was me, and it was. And then at the end, she goes looking for him and they overlay that audio back on top of it, and I know it's dumb and I know it's bad. It worked for me. I loved it. I love covered bridges.
I never do this because you do this, but I'm going to say it. You don't work for me.
I loved it.
I think I know it's bad is the pull quote.
Yeah,
we can
there it is.
I loved it.
I know it's bad,
and I'm
I know
sorry.
it's bad in my head, and my heart doesn't know it.
My heart doesn't know it.
That's
My
right.
heart's confused.
Yeah. So this movie
Didn't work for anyone else? You guys all hated that? Okay, great.
This movie is just bad, aside from one thing.
There was no winning me back by that point.
Okay, fair.
Which is so bad it's funny. And that is the dad of this movie.
Man.
Everything
love this guy.
he says made me laugh. I don't know if he was supposed to or not, but I feel like either he's just in a different movie or has not seen one.
He's
of these
inside
before.
a painting.
It is wild watching the character that is this dad, and he did elicit some chuckles from me. And that is, if you have to watch this movie against your will, all of his lines are why you watch it.
He insists on cooking, and all I can think is that hippie is going to get hair and all
Everything, yeah.
Like put on a net What are you doing?
When they asked him to cater, I was like, you sure? Like how?
In my head, I was like, why is he cooking to begin with? Is it to try to get a catering job? And then they ask him to cater.
But it's a B&B. So
it is a B&B. That's
so
right.
that's what he does,
Gotta
I
get
guess.
the B in the B.
Got to get that B. Let's get that B, and that B stands for break.
Whoa.
Here on Dyke the Hallmark. Nailed it. Just like the movie. Welcome back, friends, comrades, people around the world. It is great to be here on Dyke the Hallmark talking about a Christmas venue. The Christmas venue?
The Christmas venue, yes.
The singular Christmas venue.
Not just
Let's get to the wait what. It is where we talk about what in this movie made us go, wait, what? And I will start with you, Alonso.
Okay. Now, from the very beginning, it is an established trope in these movies where when nearly all of the characters are going to be white, the lead character has the sympathetic, understanding black best friend.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know you're going to get that. It's just part of the package. Whoever did, or more to the point, didn't do the friend's hair, especially in the first scene.
That's tough.
That's a hate crime.
Yeah.
It is. No one should be on camera with their hair like that. Like I don't blame the actress. I blame the production. No.
Yeah. Be better.
No.
Be better. Yeah.
The hair, however, is a signifier of things to come, which is this whole movie looks like it was shot on an iPhone and not in the good tangerine
Not the 15
way.
with the titanium either. Like one of the old.
Oh, yeah. Like a 4.
Yeah. Like a 4S with Siri.
Yeah. Painful. This is the part I love. So, okay. So we've established that, like, you know, they're going to spruce the place up and try and fix it up for wedding stuff. She goes, we've got some work to do. And then we get a montage. Is this montage of like cleaning up, painting, fixing plumbing? No, this montage is Christmas decorating.
Yeah,
all she does is hang more decorations and put up more trees. Like 2 seconds of sweepy sweep.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
it.
We've got work to do. I have ornaments to hang.
Hand me the garland. That's
Yes,
right.
exactly.
Yeah.
Where are the wreaths? I've got work to do.
We got to whip this house into shape.
Yes. So the Scottish guy shows up and they do no, this is my husband.
Yeah.
And rather than him having like even a moment of needing explanation, like he just immediately is like, oh, okay, so why are we lying about this again? Like he's just on it.
He jumps in, man.
Yeah.
And I'm
all
like,
in.
I would have questions.
Yeah.
I would think you would have questions if the girl that you broke up with, mere days ago is suddenly professing to be somebody's wife. Like, was she always married? Like, were you the side piece? I would have questions. And then finally, the big one here is if you're going to give us a heroine who everybody talks about what a great painter she is and how the thrust of the movie is that she needs to abandon her soulless corporate job and get back to painting because painting is her real passion. Either don't show us the painting, or show us a better painting.
Anything better.
But they just had to show us the painting, and the painting is, I could do this painting. And nobody would look over my shoulder and go, oh, I've got rich friends in New York who want to buy some of these.
Yeah. Yeah. They weren't good enough for a Hallmark painters.
Oh, yeah. Paintings. I mean, like, of all the painter, photography, whatever thing that people profess to be good at, this is the worst.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they should have done a thing like, how in Pulp Fiction you don't ever see what's in the briefcase, it's just light. Like, just have some light. Do like, and I've heard the mermaids singing, light in frames that everybody go, wow, what great paintings. And let us leave it to our imagination.
Yeah.
But this is embarrassing.
If you're making a low budget, just do that. That's the thing you can do to make your movie better, not worse. Yeah.
I have a few, even though this movie rules.
I'm stunned.
One, Drew doesn't know what garland is. Now, if you want to be like anti-decorations because, Christmas, consumerism, blah, 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 that's all fine and dandy. To not know what garland is, though, is another level.
Word.
That's impressively just an impressive amount of lack of knowledge. I love that for him. Shout out to Photoshop,
Shout out.
who gets a shout out in this movie a lot. They talk about Photoshop a lot in this movie, and I just wanted to shout it out one more time because I'd hate for people to walk away from this movie and not know what Photoshop is.
Did they pay for that kind of?
I don't know. You can't pay for that type of promotion. Marriage isn't normally one of those things you round up on, right? Like it's normally like you give the number. She says for 5 years, I was rounding up to 5. That should have been a dead giveaway. I don't think you don't normally round up, right? You normally give the thing, isn't it? No.
Yeah, or you say 5 in June.
Yeah. Yes.
Almost.
Yeah. Almost.
Yeah.
That should have been a dead giveaway. So guys, I wish I brought the audio. I don't know the legality of this, but so I didn't. But
Nicely's lawyers are going to be all over you.
But something happens. So she is on the phone with Steven, Scottish Steven, as we'll call him.
Scottish Steven.
And he's talking and like the line is breaking up or whatever. And so she starts to say his name over and over again. And she says David, one of the names.
What?
She's like, David, Steven.
She does not say David.
I will pull it up for you guys after this. I promise you, she says David at some point. And I don't.
Is the actor's name David? Do we know?
I don't think so.
David.
Last but not least, they're playing this game at the end, or for game night. And it's the game where you have the things on your head and you're giving clues and whatnot. And one of the things on her head is tree. And I don't know how she got tree from the way that this guy was answering the questions. It was, is it an inside thing? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it? And then she asked this question: is it an inside and an outside thing?
Yeah.
How do you get there? When someone says, is it an inside thing? I would literally never think to go, it's also an outside thing. Is it a both and?
Can I tell you how she got there?
How?
She started with tree.
Yeah.
She started with tree. That's how she got there.
It's fair. That's how you get there. Dana?
I can't believe you guys left so many on the table. There is a wonderful dog in this movie who disappears.
Yeah.
The dog is awesome, and then it's gone.
Well, the guy's allergic.
The guy's allergic, and he mentions having to go home to take care of the dog.
Okay, so there's my next point, which is twice in this movie, they say something that would immediately send off a red flag to these people that they're lying. And I thought that these people were going to put it together. The first is, he tells this long story about how he met her in their fake relationship. And he says, and I had to take out my dog. Well, earlier in the movie, they were like, does anybody have a dog? And they're like, no, must have been the Uber. So I thought that was going to click, and it didn't.
I also thought it was.
And I was like, that was going to come back around. We knew it as soon as you said the dog thing. Nope. And then the next time was when Scottish Steve comes over.
Right.
And whatever. And they ask him if he's seen a polar bear. Polar bears don't live in Antarctica.
I was waiting for somebody to catch that too.
They're only in the north, guys. They're nowhere near it. And so, first of all, they asked this, and he's like, yeah, I've seen a bunch of them. And I'm like, okay, they've put it together already. They've put together that they're lying, and they're just not telling anyone yet because of the dog thing in Antarctica. And no, it never comes back up. No one ever's like, well, these two obvious things happened that led us to believe
the characters are dumber than whoever wrote this thing.
Yeah, wow, that's impressive.
I will say that the groom, when they do come forward with the truth, and he's like, never actually seen a polar bear, have you? That made me laugh.
Yeah.
He does a couple things in this movie that made me laugh.
The groom is funny.
Yeah, he's funny.
He's funny. That's true. Yeah,
he climbs over a couch at some point, and it's hysterical. So kudos to that guy.
Fantastic. Early in the movie, Scottish Steve breaks up with her at what they establish as a very, very fancy restaurant. And this is a very fancy restaurant that shares tables. So they're sitting next to someone that's on a different date, but they're sharing a table together, which that's super fancy last time I checked. The montage of her doing Christmas decorations is bad. Not as bad as that. In my head, 30 minutes of her changing one light bulb. Yeah. She works on one light bulb for an eternity. And then this guy shows up and he's like, I rewired it because a lot of things need to be fixed around here. What? You switched. Now, I want to be clear. There are two light switches, and one of them used to control the light. and the other one didn't. And you went in, dug into the wires, and switched those two light switches because a lot of things need to be done around here. There's so much to be done. That's extensive.
That was top of his list, though.
Top of his list.
Switch the switches.
That's exactly right, which is crazy for me. This shower situation, they're like, the shower doesn't work. We're like, well, can you get it to work? And this guy goes, it's going to work for a couple days, but after that, all bets are off. Okay, what are we risking? What did you do to get it to work for 2 days? And why does that not work for longer than 2 days? Is there water just gushing under the house? How can you get something to work for 2 days?
I patched it with Captain Crunch. At some point, it's going to dissolve.
I used the Billy Mays Flex Seal, but I'm not confident in it. And then the best is on the third day, the guy comes downstairs and he's like, yeah, the shower's kind of crazy. It went from scalding hot to ice cold. And the other guy goes, I'll check it out. And he goes, no, don't. I kind of liked it. Like, it really made me energized. Is he suggesting that you keep a shower like that?
Yes.
If I'm getting married here, can you keep the shower that just goes hot, cold all the time and you don't know what's going on? Can you do that?
People pay big money for that kind of spa treatment,
Cold plunge, sauna. She shows up for the fake, to start this fake relationship bit, and she shows up with 2 rings. Like a wedding ring for her, a wedding ring from him. And they're like, where'd you find these rings? And she was like, I used to love to pretend weddings as a kid, and they were in an old room. That's what she says. They were in an old room. So when she was a child, she got real wedding rings.
Yes. At least metal.
To pretend to play wedding. And then over the course of the next 25 years, she put them away in an old room in case a situation would come where she would need to pretend wedding as an adult.
Well, she even knew then that single people suck. So it's like, I need this in the back of my pocket, like just in case.
Great Expectations 2, Miss Havisham's Revenge.
Oh, wow, that would be great. Lastly, and I do need to make this clear because I mentioned it in my hot take, but the premise of this movie is these people want to get married here later, like months later. But before they hand you a $25,000 check, they want to come, stay there for 3 nights on Christmas, away from their family, make sure that the food is good and the showers work and that they can celebrate Christmas there. That is the premise of this movie. We're going to get married in the spring. What if we celebrate Christmas at a B&B and check out the showers and the food? That's what we're doing here.
I don't know how you planned your wedding.
3 months before the wedding, can you imagine being like, hey, Mom, Dad, we're not coming home for Christmas. There's a B&B that's offered 3 nights in their place. Showers may or may not work. It's just so stupid. That's all I got.
It's time for what the Hallmark. It's the segment where we talk about any questions that we still had that we'd like some answers to. Alonso.
I'm not gonna apply this to all nicely titles because I have kind of liked at least one, but this movie in particular felt like if somebody took one of those TikToks that people make where they do like, a Hallmark movie in 60 seconds and expanded it to a feature film. Yeah. That's what we're dealing with here. This is what the Christmas venue.
But single people, you can't trust single people. It is something that you would say on one of those because it's so outlandish.
That's true.
Can't trust single people.
I mean, leave my job in the city so I can come home and paint in Vermont at a B&B. I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, my only thing is anyone going to tell them that to get annulled for $25,000 is an insane amount of money. Like you can do it for way cheaper, really, and literally anywhere else. I understand this place holds, I guess, a dear place in their heart, but $25,000 for a shotgun wedding. Like, hey, let's just get married as quickly as possible today. It's a lot of money. Just go down to the courthouse.
I think you mean to elope.
To elope, sorry. Yes. Not an annulment. I mean, it might. We don't know. Maybe that is what the Hallmark. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. It's $25,000 eloping is is quite the price.
Yes.
Good for them.
Yeah.
Dano?
And I know it's been mentioned a little before, but I need to know in the writer's room where a writer was banging their head against the wall, just going, I got to get these two people into a fake relationship. How do I do it?
Why?
What would we need? How do we connect the people coming with the people there? So they have to act like they're married. That's the big part of this movie. And then, like, after days and days, they're like, I've got it. The mother of the bride hates single people. The sheer hubris to think that you can sneak this into a movie and it not, like, no one in the editing or production was like, we can't come up with anything better than this.
Your screenwriting 101 professor, like, circles that with a red pen and writes "See me" at the top of the page.
Exactly. Like, just be like, they want to go to a place where someone has already gotten married before. Then you make them and go, we got married here. Here's what we did. Yes. We had the blah, blah, blah here. This. Like, it's easy. I did that just now, guys. Like, what mom hates single people. I don't know what happened. I just... And they don't do any of the groundwork. They don't have an early scene where the mom's like, ugh, single people.
She's one of those human beings that you've heard about.
That's right.
Distrusts all single people.
Distrust the things she used to be.
Yeah.
And currently is. She's currently single.
True.
Like,
yes.
What?
Widow, divorced, whatever. Not
still
married,
single. Not attached to someone romantically. She's single.
I knew there was something about her that I didn't trust. And I couldn't put my finger on it.
Well, that's why she grabs the first available man, which is the dad.
That's right. It's an all-timer. It's in watching these movies, the plot, like, point of my mom doesn't trust people that aren't dating or engaged or married is one of the crazier plot points we've ever seen.
Yeah. I will say her and the dad playing that game and his thing is Santa. His response was accurate and not getting it right. He's like, what? I didn't feel like I should have gotten that one. Yeah, bud. Think you should have. Man. Santa. We did, everybody. Congratulations. Next Monday, we'll be back. We're heading over to Raku for How to Fall in Love by the Holidays.
Very similar to raccoons.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Until then, maybe the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Deck the Hallmark's a Bramble Jam podcast is produced by Aaron Shea. What? For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on the Deck the Hallmark family, you can go to bramblejamplus.com. Deck the Hallmark is presented by Philo TV. For a free trial of Philo, go to philo.tv/DTH.